So it was going to be Conor regardless.
Okay.
And then he was supposed to fight Aldo, and then had he beat Aldo, he was going to fight Chad, and coach against Chad. And had he lost to Aldo, he was going to be coach against me. So it was always going to be Team Alpha Male, and it was always going to be McGregor. So that was what was told. So when everything started changing, I mean, it had already been in the works.
Right.
So.
Can you assess McGregor as a coach? You kind of said that he didn't offer like really much training to those guys. What did you see?
I don't know if he did or didn't offer much training. I think he probably had some useful stuff for them. He's got a good mind for the sport. He's got a good philosophy. He was there a little bit. He wasn't there like full hands-on. That's what I meant. He I know he wasn't there for a lot of the practices and stuff like that. So, but I'm not sure. I didn't get to see his coaching style. I'm sure he did fine. He's got a good mind for the sport.
Do you think that was fair to the team?
What's that?
Do you think they got like a fair shake?
I mean, if I were in that situation, I would like to get as much knowledge as possible from the current champ. But it's a 6-week process. A lot of these guys have spent their whole careers and lives dedicated to the sport. So, it's one of those things where you don't really need to hold their hand, but to give them every advantage to win, I think being there, that makes sense.
Conor made it pretty clear on Wednesday. We had a media lunch. He made it kind of clear. He was there for Artem. He's one of his teammates. Did you see that the rest of his team got a little neglected over the course of the season, or did he seem to look out for everybody?
I think he cared about his guys. I mean, he was definitely more invested in Artem, and as far as the teams go, a lot of the guys, and I talked to Sean Shelby and Joe Silva, a lot of the guys on the European team should have or had been scheduled or were about to be scheduled to be in the UFC already. So it wasn't like, those may be guys that Conor is going to fight down the road, because these are 55-pounders and 45-pounders. So who knows how that played into things. But that was all the best guys they had in Europe. And it was I wouldn't say they were neglected, but I would like to have somebody giving me their all.
Sure.
When we had Conor in here last week, he had expressed that he had lobbied to try to get a fight with you at the end of the show. Did anyone ever come to you with anything like that?
I had lobbied for the fight also. We had both lobbied, and there's actually, I don't know if they're going to play it or not. They probably will, because it's great TV with us yelling back and forth at each other. But we both tried to get the fight. And I was going to go over to Ireland, and he wanted to fight over in Ireland also. And, Dana said, oh, you're not going to fight him, this and that. Which made sense. I have the most submissions in the history of our sport, and he's tapped to a knee bar in a minute something, and he's tapped to a choke, by someone else too. So, Chad had him way outclassed on the ground, and that's all I'll say.
Do you think? Do you think they might have been kind of afraid that you kind of upset the gravy train there, so to speak?
I don't know about that. Maybe, but he was going to be fighting Aldo, so it was what it was at the time. It was like, hey, he had that fight on the horizon, so I wouldn't say that. I don't think Conor's scared of anything. The guy he's game to fight, but the UFC brass, they're being real, walking gingerly around that one. But he fought Chad. Chad's very, very tough, no matter what type of preparation he has. He was injured going into that fight. He broke his thumb a minute and a half into it. He only had 2 weeks to train. So, that obviously wasn't his best foot forward. But, we saw Conor rise to the occasion after getting his, butt kicked.
How did you come out of that feeling about Conor? Because, what you knew about him before and what you knew about him after. When he was here last week, he seemed like he developed kind of a grudging respect for you that he didn't have before, after coaching against you.
Yeah, I think I can appreciate a lot of things about his mentality. I see a lot of that, and it's common in champions, just a self-belief. And the funny thing is, things get blown out of proportion because we had that little interaction backstage. But if we really had a real beef, there would have been punches thrown, not just me slamming him up against the wall. It was kind of just, what it was, and it was kind of weird. And I've always, been kind of entertained by him and been somewhat of a fan of his. So it wasn't like we had this crazy grudge going. I speak my mind. I love to fight. He speaks his mind. He loves to fight. We don't take crap from each other. So, that's where things get heated up. But as a person, he's actually a decent dude. And he's being real, so I can appreciate that.
He's definitely entertaining. Did you think of this, the Gold Big event last Friday? Do you think he crossed a line? He said a lot of things towards Cowboy and some of the other fighters. Do you think he kind of crossed a line of respect?
No.
I mean, being disrespectful?
I don't think he crossed the line. Conor's, he's intelligent the way he's approaching these things, but he's not being fake. He really believes that. He believes, and he's kind of right, to be honest, that, he's the money fight right now. He's saying that either the other guys would like to fight him, and they like to fight him because it's an easier fight and there's probably more money involved, if they're getting pay-per-view, etc. So he's really believing that, and he's saying it. I mean, Luke can attest to it. We were both backstage with him, and I actually had to take my phone and record some of it because it was hilarious. He was talking to himself. He looked like he was on something, man. He was like pacing around and like
more than
screaming
Monster
about Duffy. He was talking to Luke, and Luke had to say some words to him, and he didn't say a peep to Cowboy, but he was just going off screaming across the thing to Aldo when no one was watching, getting himself pumped up. So that wasn't fake. He's just he's an interesting character.
What's your take, Luke?
The guy's good. I mean, the guy's a good fighter. He's a good talker. There can only be so many of those guys in the sport. Not everybody can beat Conor McGregor, otherwise it'll just be a complete shit show. We'd probably lose our credibility here. He's starting to believe his own hype, and he thinks he's way bigger. He thinks he's bigger in the sport now, which is kind of annoying. And we'll see how it all pans out in the future for the guy. But usually guys that rise that fast fall even harder. So we'll see. We'll see if he can keep his crown. I wouldn't even say his crown. His title as the #1 contender. The guy's not a champion. All right, he just needs to calm down a little bit. He could win the belt. I'm not saying he can't, but he's strutting around backstage like his dick's 10 feet long with the belt around his end, his chest puffed up, and it's like, cool the fuck down, dude. God. I don't know what he's on, but Monster Energy's not the least of it.
So Urijah, when Conor was kind of taking jabs at TJ last week on UFC Tonight, did you and TJ just laugh it off, or what was going on there?
That's a continuation of 3 different conversations that we've had. The first time I actually had an interaction with Conor more than just a hey, what's up, was backstage at the Rousey fight in LA, and we were all back in the bar, and I had said some stuff about the Irish folks, like that Conor super stands out because they don't have a ton of great athletes over there or something. They have, they don't have as much going on, and Conor's a superstar to them, which is pretty accurate. They have, a really good golfer. They have a female boxer. They have, a rugby team that's pretty good. But Conor's the biggest thing over there. So
they're a fighting country.
They're a fighting
always
country.
been,
Yeah. So
that's just half of his hype.
Yeah. So we started talking.
Not 3/4.
So we started talking backstage and going back and forth, and TJ came in and he got after TJ about how TJ had said that he hadn't earned his shot. Like, I don't know if TJ said that in an interview or whatnot, but he started talking, and we're all doing the private, and they get heated between each other, and me and Conor were kind of joking around, like talking smack back and forth, which seems to be what happens with us. And but they got heated, and TJ ended up walking away. But then he was asking about some other things on the show about TJ, and they got into it in the show, and so there's like a little history there. And he's right about some of the stuff he's saying, but he doesn't know any of the details between TJ and I. So he sees a little thing to needle, and he's needling it.
So also on Wednesday, Conor picked on your fashion choices a little bit. Said that that you dressed like, what was it, a 50-year-old skateboarder.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you guys probably get into that in the show a little bit. Do you have anything to say?
Let's be honest here. Conor, I go, Conor, he shows up every day in the Vegas desert to practice, to events and everything, in like a full getup. And he's got friggin' armpit sweat marks going down to here. At one point he has like an ass crack, like full sweaty ass. He rips his pants at one point. And I'm like, and I go, bro, what's up with the outfit? And he says, I'm all business. And I'm like, dude, you're like the tap out guy at the bar thinking he's a fighter because he's wearing tap out. You're wearing a suit has nothing to do with business. I know. We just went to my buddy's house. Look at Luke's Snapchat. This guy wears sandals and shorts every day. He's got a $50 million house in Beverly Hills. Dana White will not put on a suit unless he's forced to.
Okay, he did have Gucci shoes on. They were like work construction shoes, but he didn't give a fuck.
and Conor's renting a massive house, renting it. He's renting cars. He's like spending all his money on suits and watches. And now he's pretty much an adopted citizen in California. He won't leave, right? He came over, he won't leave. And he doesn't get, I had to educate him about what it's like to be successful. You get to wear whatever you want. You get to be comfortable. Now that he's a citizen, pretty much, of the U.S. and a native of California, dude, let the suit go.
What are the taxes like in Ireland?
I asked him. He said taxes are actually pretty bad. I asked him about that, too.
Better realize.
We had some business talks.
What's it like for either of you guys when you see someone spending like that? Because you guys know this doesn't last forever.
Yep.
Well, I had to talk to him about that. He seems to be pretty intelligent. He doesn't. I mean, in some ways, it's like he's going to learn a couple little lessons here and there, but he seems to be pretty smart. He's a decent business guy. He's definitely the tap out of the business world, though.
Is it possible some of that's sponsorships? Maybe he's not paying for all of that, perhaps?
No.
You think he's paying for it all?
Yes. I think so. I think he takes pride in paying for it. You can't afford these pythons. You can't afford python. I'm like, bro, I don't want python anything, brother. I want nothing to do with pythons.
Do you think he'd be renting all that stuff if it wasn't ending up on TV or ending up in the media? I mean,
His theory is, and I actually saw.
He's following in Floyd Mayweather's footsteps as best he can.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Floyd had the money first, so I would say, if you watch Tony Robbins, I watched a documentary on him once, and he talked about the house that he bought before he could afford it, and he was empty with no furniture and stuff. I think there's a method to his madness, but don't be rubbing it in other people's face that you're acting like you have a ton of money. You don't have a ton of money yet. Or what you think is a ton of money is not a ton of money.
Portraying money, that's what people love, and so they're drawn to that. And if you can go out and produce and keep the role going, it's just like Floyd. It's like,
but he will be making a lot of money. But it's about how much you're gonna hold on to.
Yeah.
So you think that it's possible that he could be that cautionary tale? I mean, you see for like NFL players, and 5 years after retirement, they're broke, and that sort of, could he be that?
He could be. I hope not. I said some comments to him about that. I'm like, bro, sell it down. Like, take the $16,000 rental. 16,000 square foot rental down to like an $8,000 square foot rental. But he'll figure it out. I think he'll be all right when it's all said and done. He seems adaptive.
So you kind of went out and lobbied to make sure you fought on that weekend on December 11th, 12th. Like, why was it important to you to fight on one of those shows?
Well, first off, that's what I do for a living.
Sure.
That's the easiest way for me to get some cash, is to go fight, and I enjoy it. I love it, and I'm actually filming a movie the month of October called Beach Pizza. It's like a throwback to the 80s kind of fun movies with Craig Robinson, and I'm just keeping this rolling. Go from the reality show, this PR tour, go back, train in Sacramento, see my guys. I'm going to film this movie, have a fight, live the good life, man. That's what I do.
Was there any, this is one of those fights where it's obvious this guy can make his name basically by beating Urijah Faber. Was there any?
That's been the case, man, for my career. It's been the case, so I'm not a stranger to that. We did have some other guys that backed out, that didn't want the fight for whatever reason. We were supposed to actually headline. I heard that it was supposed to be Caraway and I headlining the tough finale, and he didn't take the fight. So, he brought Eddie Wineland out of retirement, who had broken his jaw and decided he was done fighting, and Caraway calls him out. And now he's calling out Michael McDonald, who we haven't seen since he vanished like a fart in the wind after our fight. It's like, you want to step up, let's do it. But so So yeah, he didn't take the fight. So this guy stepped up, and I can appreciate that. And I mean, for me, I treat everyone like an equal, whether they're a fighter or someone on the street, whatever it is. And I'm going to take this guy very seriously. And yeah, it's a big opportunity for him, but it's also a big opportunity for me. I get double the money. It's another part of my story, and move towards the things that I want.
So Luke, you have a title fight coming up. You're training with current heavyweight champ, former champ. What advice have they given you? Do you feel comfortable going into this, having them in your corner?
Just basic advice. We've known this is coming for a long time, and they believe me. They know what I'm capable of, and really the advice has already been given, long before. It's just a matter of going through the process, the drills, and doing what I have to do, and getting into this next training camp. So focus is more on DC and getting him ready and helping him, and when the time comes, I'll be focused on mine. I don't see what Weidman's going to bring to the table that I haven't seen. I don't see every day from on a higher level. Kane is much better wrestler. DC is far beyond anything that you're going to see in the sport, wrestling wise and athletically and speed. He's going to bring all that and more than Weidman can. So I train with the best team, and I think that's going to be a huge difference, because Weidman trains with good guys, but I train with elite guys, and it's going to show come fight time. I've never been out wrestled, and I'm not going to be out wrestled. And so if that's Weidman's specialty, which he believes he has over me, he's in for a surprise. That's I'm faster than him, more technical, got more weapons. He's slow. He's a little uncoordinated with the kicks. He's a little clumsy. So I'm gonna take advantage of every opportunity he gives me, and I'm gonna take this fight and bring it back home. Another belt back at AK.
You're talking about personalities. DC, now that he's champ, he's also officially your team captain. Talk about what that's like.
Fuck.
Is he dating the prom queen?
I don't know. Self-appointed team captain, yes. Yeah. DC likes these titles, just let him be, let him have his time in the light. But when it comes time for technique, I'll step in and show the guys what to do.
If you had to compare your beef with Weidman to the Biggie Tupac beef, what kind of similarities or differences do you see there between you guys?
The beef between me and Weidman?
Mm-hmm. Compared to Biggie and Tupac.
Compared to Biggie and Tupac.
Who's faster, Biggie or Tupac?
West Coast, baby. Well, faster? Really? Come on. Is that even a comparison? Are we talking speed wise? It's the same situation we have here. I'm going to be much faster, much quicker, and
get more chicks.
Get more chicks. West Coast versus East Coast. It's always going to reign above. What can I say? So it's just the competitive edge. It's two guys, going to the top, trying to be the best in their realms, in their world, and coming from the opposite sides of the country. And Tupac won before, and just as I'm going to win too. So West Coast reigns. Peace.
Is there anything about Weidman that impresses you?
Weidman's his toughness and his grit, of course, and he's well-rounded. He's very well-rounded, and he's been able to dictate the pace of the fight. So I respect that for Weidman, and he's a determined individual, and he doesn't give up. He's got heart. So there's a lot of things I respect about him that he's been able to get by, but I have all that and more. And so, he believes in himself, and I love it. That's the fight I want. I think it's going to bring the best out of me. I haven't even had a fight that's going to drag to the point where I can reach my potential, and I think Weidman is the guy to give me that fight. It's going to be a closer first round. He's going to be tough, but I'm going to start stuffing his takedowns and threatening him on the ground if need be, and then I think we're going to find our way back to our feet, and I'm going to start finding my groove, and his pace is going to change, and he's going to start backpedaling, and I'm going to start teeing off.
Do you think he's a guy you can finish?
I really do. Fights usually go the way I see them, how I plan them out and I envision them. So I train my whole camp for a certain game plan, and it usually happens that way. I mean, very few fights have not gone the way I've seen them. I see myself finishing Weidman. I see him probably within 3 rounds. I truly do. I think I'm going to catch him with a kick and a punch, and if he doesn't fall right away, I'm gonna finish him on the ground.
It's kind of been the recent history that anytime a champion's lost his belt, the UFC's almost given him an immediate rematch.
Mm-hmm.
So in your head, are you already thinking that you're probably gonna have to beat Weidman twice to keep that belt?
Or 3 times. You know, I think me and Weidman are above. I think we're above the rest. And I think I'm going to be like his big brother for his whole career after this fight. So he's going to be JV, I'm going to be varsity, and I'm going to freaking rule the division. So that's the way I see it. I think he's a very tough guy, and I think he's better than the rest.
What about for you, Uriah? Is the belt still something that is that end of the road for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not going to be doing this sport a whole lot longer, to be honest. You know, it takes a lot of time and energy to get to the point where I'm at now, whether it be, you know, the media, but like really the technique and the awareness and the experience. So I'm ready and poised to step in and fight for a title at any point in my career. I always have been. You know, they have me ranked at 4th at 135, but that's because Asuncao has a win over TJ, who's the current champ, who's my teammate. So it's an interesting dynamic of, you know, there. My last fight against Barao was not, you know, in my opinion, the fight should not have been over, and I took that on 2 weeks' notice also, just to fill a spot. I mean, I'm right there for the 35-pound title, and honestly, the best matchup for me would be Conor, because he's a bigger, slower guy, and he's susceptible to submissions and grappling. And like I said, that's my bread and butter, on top of being a guy that can strike and be durable and be fast and creative. So, you know, that's a fight also I'd like. I mean, at 45s, that's really the only fight I'd like to do. But at 35s, I'm just poised and ready. I don't have any, like, I need to get that belt in order to have anything. I'm a happy guy. You know, whether people want to remember it or not, I was a reigning champion for a long time when the WC was the only spot for the weight class, and it was owned by Zuffa. But I always am gunning for the top spot, but I'm not going to step over people that I love and care for to get that either.
You mentioned.
When you say, you know, you're not going to be doing this forever, do you have any kind of thoughts in your head on, like, what do you have to do to be like, okay, I can walk away now?
It's hard. You know, the UFC does a good job, and I've seen this for years because I study the sport. I'm probably the most knowledgeable person in this sport, from being a company owner that sponsored guys, to being a champion, to being a guy that was there at the very beginning where, you know, it was illegal in California and I was fighting with shoes on and fighting in Indian casinos and no weight classes for me, etc., to being part of a management team, to being part of the best team in the world, you know, the founder of it. I mean, I know this sport. I've been a mentor, I've been a champion, I've been a contender, I've had tough losses, I've had big injuries. Like, this is my sport, and I understand it. So, that being said, it's like, you know, this is something that I see the UFC doing. They give you, as your career gets better or gets more progressive, they continue to reward you for sticking in there. And the money gets better, the notoriety, the perks get better if they're a guy that they want to stay. And of course they want me to stay. You know, they'd like to build the next generation of fighters off of me, but I'm not going out like that. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be beating guys up. I'm going to be at the top contender, and then I'll be out.
To piggyback off of that, which is my question, you know, Ronda raised eyebrows when she said she won't fight past 30, whether she sticks to that or not. Both of you are fighting into your 30s. You know, is there a certain age where you say, okay, I don't want to be doing this after that, or is it just something you're going to know inside?
I think I'll probably know inside. I mean, my parents I've got great genetics, thanks Mom and Dad. They are vibrant and energetic and into their 60s. They look good, and they're active and they feel good. But I have a lot of different interests, and Rousey, I remember in high school, I was like, I'm not going to get married till I'm like, I want to have kids, not till I'm like 27. And then it got pushed to like 32. And now it's 36, and now I'm thinking like, we'll wait till maybe right before 40.
There's no cap for us.
Yeah. We don't have a biological clock. But like, so once you get somewhere and you're like, Rousey could probably make multiple millions of dollars to go beat up a girl that she knows she can beat up. Is she going to pass that up when she's 31? Probably not. So, I mean, saying things is one thing, doing things are another. I feel great. I feel amazing. I test myself with guys like Cody Garbrandt and Chad Mendez and TJ Dillashaw and Joseph Benavidez and Chris Holdsworth. I mean, these are guys that are, there's going to be a 40-year span from the guys that I'm training with right now to when I finish my career. Like the guys that I fought that were, 30-something when I was 23, to the guys that I'm going against every day that are 17 years old that are giving me everything I can handle. They're going to have to be fighting guys for years. I mean, there will seriously be a 40-year span in the competitors, if you like, say who's touched too. So I like that. I mean, you only get to live once. You only get to be a competitor once. You only get to be this age, this minute, this second, one time, and I cherish that.
You're a competitive guy. What would be the thing that would sit well enough with you that you could just walk away? Because are you going to be one of those Randy Couture's that retires and then a couple years later you're watching a guy win a belt, you're like, I could beat that guy?
Yeah, probably. I mean, but honestly, I've got a lot of stuff going on where I mean, I have a lot of business stuff going on. I have multiple things inside and outside of MMA. I'm doing my first movie. I'm interested in a lot of different things, real estate and things like that. When my focus gets so pulled away from the sport that it's not important to me, that's when I'll know it's time to step away. And I'm not scared of a fight. I don't think I will be till the day I die. And I don't think I ever have been, So that's something that you always have to remember, like, just because you're not afraid to fight, is it the time to fight? And that's where you have to be self-reflective and it's easy to have a realistic view though when you have killers like Cody No Love, who's going to be a superstar in the sport you guys watch, and see guys like Angelo Trevino and Joseph Morales, and those are two guys that have trained with me since they're 11 and 12 years old that are now 22 and 23 and undefeated as pros. It's easy to gauge where you're at, so I'll be aware of that.
You think you'd be self-aware enough to do that? You wouldn't need teammates to go like, Urijah, we've all been talking.
No, and if they need to have that conversation, I'll be able to defend myself in a court of law. Like, listen, man, you don't understand what's going to happen here. This is how much money I'm going to get. This is what I'm going to do with it. And this guy sucks because look at him, and probably be able to talk myself and them into it as well. So I hope not.
The thing is, you can just see when fighters have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, when they step in the cage, or how they prepare, how they talk about a fight.
We were talking about this yesterday.
Rai goes in there wholeheartedly every time he goes in there, and there's still, you can see it. He's never lost that fire, that flame, no matter who he's fighting. It's like he's in there to win. Doesn't matter who.
Well, someone like you who's kind of entering your prime right now, do you ever have the thought like, well, how long do I want to do this? What's my timeline? Anything along those lines?
I think about it, but I'm more focused on the present right now and where I'm at. I am coming into my prime, and I'm coming to the pinnacle of my career. So I know that I want to make the most of what I have right now because of this period I have to make the most money I can before I start hitting those older years where there's eventual decline. I want to make the most of what I can with the one life I can, the one life I have. So I want to win. I want to win now, and I want to hold the belt for as long as I can, and then potentially, I don't even want to think about retirement. And it's an afterthought at this point. But I know I have my prime, so I want to take advantage of it right now, and so I kind of limit my outside issues, and I focus on what to be the best at. You can't spread yourself too thin in life, and I've always found that if you want to be the best at something, you focus all your energy in that, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm in a good spot right now.
Sure. This fight is going to be the biggest fight I can remember that isn't the main event on a card. Like, were you surprised when they came at you and asked you to be the co-main on this card?
No, I wasn't surprised. I heard rumors.
Okay.
I heard rumors Kane Velasquez and Verdum would be the co-main event for this fight. You know what I mean? It's so I mean.
Conor is probably hearing Conor talk about it.
It's the hardest part. Yeah, it's just hearing, you know, all the buildup is Conor. So it's like whatever, you know. It is what it is. The guy's got a whole country behind him, and he's created the hype. And Jose Aldo is the longest reigning champion they've had. I believe he is the pound for pound number one. He rightfully deserves that. So I'm happy to be under him. I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I'll take it, you know, and I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to perform and set the stage. So they can do their thing. They can talk their way into the situation. I'm going to go out there and perform and put on the best performance of the night.
That being said, does it kind of take the pressure off of you because you could just focus on your fight?
I've been fighting in main events for a long time. So championship fights, main events, all over. I mean, 4 out of 5 of my fights here in the UFC have all been main events. So the pressure is the pressure. It's really nothing once you understand how to deal with it. You just block it out. You know, you have to have tunnel vision and just completely not focus on that. I've done a lot of mental preparation on how to separate those things, and you let the build up and the hype, all that get to you. You're gonna fade. You're gonna fall. So you just I let go of winning and losing, and I just focus on doing my best. And I know my best is better than them, than whoever I'm gonna face. Cause I just don't believe anyone's on my level right now. So as long as I go out there, relax, and just not focus on anything, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna perform. I'm gonna do my best. So that's how you focus. You hold on to winning and losing, and you have that. It creates anxiety and tenseness, and then you don't have those out of body performances when you can just completely relax and let your instinct take over, and that's when you're like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, you know, that just happened, and just those are the times I'm always at my best. So I kind of found that state of mind to be my best.
I was gonna say, have you learned that through the process of, like, compared to where you are right now, you know, top of the division, about to challenge for the title, versus where, you know, when you were Strikeforce champion, and, you know, maybe a different mentality if you were on a run then, but now have you learned more, you know?
Yeah,
everything you've experienced.
Of course. I mean, I've been in the sport for a long time. People are such UFC like fans, and that they don't know where I've come from. I've come from Strikeforce, which is a very high level company, and I've been there for a long time. You know, it's been almost 9 years in the sport. Practice makes perfect. You know, and I've had some ups and some downs in my career, and they've only bettered me. I've always learned from my losses. My second fight I lost. I went up a division, fought a guy on 1 day's notice, and just took everything for granted, really, and didn't really understand like every realm of the sport, and I lost, and I reflected on it, I learned from it, and then I went on a 9-fight win streak and won the title and defended it twice in Strikeforce. So I mean, obviously I learned from that, and I came over into the UFC into a big hype situation. I had to fight Vitor Belfort in Brazil. I lost from that, and I believe my level has jumped, which you can see a whole nother level. That the losses always better me as a person, and I can reflect on it and learn from it. And so those are all, you know, learning adventures in my life.
The whole idea that the high level Strikeforce guys came over to the UFC and kind of had like a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Was that really a thing? Was that something that was kind of, you know?
Of course. I mean, I fought Jacare. Jacare was ranked number like 5 or something, 4 in the world, even higher, I think, at the point I fought him. And instead of giving me the credit, because I was an unnamed kid from the Strikeforce challenges that really people didn't believe anything in, they took away, this happens a lot, they took away the credit from Jacare for who he was and what he was capable of, and his skill level, and they bumped me to like number 10 and put him outside like in the 15 realm. It was like, how does that levy out, you know? And then Tim Kennedy never got the respect he deserved, and look at us now. I mean, it's like
Right.
myself, Yoel Romero, Tim Kennedy, Jacare, we're all the top guys in that division now. I mean, I think there's Weidman and the rest of us all from Strikeforce. So it's like people are closed-minded, and they believe in the hype train that it is the UFC. You got to give the UFC credit because they make people believe that it is the best. It is the best now. But I'm just happy to finally be here and get the credit I deserve, I guess.
So you're heading over to UFC Tonight a little bit later this afternoon. Did you know that Bisbing is filling in for DC right now.
I'm pretty excited. I heard a rumor. I was like, wait, who's working? I was like, because DC's not coming down, is he? And I was like, damn. Someone mentioned Bisbing. They didn't confirm it, but I was like,
At least it's not Cruz.
well, this should be fun.
Yeah.
Can we get Bisbing and Cruz on set? Now, if they don't bicker enough already together, put us two on the panel with them. Then we'll have a really good time. I swear. Yeah.
So if you were to do some mental preparation or visualization of how it's going to go, Bisbing's going to be interviewing you. How do you think that's going to go?
There will be some jabs taken. Bisbing is he's always good at hyping himself up, whether he believes in it or he doesn't. He's gonna go do a good job of promoting himself. Luckily, I think in my credit, Bisbing says that I'm gonna beat Weidman, and he's gonna win. Then he's gonna beat me for the title. That's the story I've heard through him a couple times. So, he believes in me. So, hey, what can I say?
It should make for a good TV.
Yeah, I'm interested. I can't wait. Who knows what's gonna happen? I'm just gonna check it out and watch it yourself. It should be good.
Do you have any interest in appearing in any motion pictures?
Like I said, I'm if the time permits, I'd be open to doing little things. Obviously, I did the Millionaire Matchmaker thing. The UFC asked me, and I'm a team player, and I said, okay, let's dabble around, let's try this thing out. And I made a mockery of that. Trolled the show as best I could. But I think it made for good TV. But like I said, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. Right now, my focus is to be the best in the world and to hold that, and everything else will fall in line. Just like how Ronda's done. She kind of cuts out all the crap of her life and focuses on fighting when it's time. But if a little time in between, I'd be open for sure.
Uriah, we interviewed Dean Devlin after we were on Leverage. Have you done other television shows? You're saying this is your first movie. Have you done other TV besides Leverage?
I've had little parts in all sorts of stuff throughout time. I actually used to do acting as a kid. I was in probably 10 different commercials and used to do live plays and stuff like that when I was a real little kid. Been on TV and on screen a bunch, from commercials, promotional, from Amp Energy to K-Swiss to UFC, etc., etc. So I feel like I've always been kind of in front of the camera, but I've definitely been taking some lessons and coaching because I don't want to look like a moron out there. And self-belief is cool, but I know from the fight game that you need coaching and you need to work on things. So I've been taking it real serious and having fun with it. And I can't remember. I was in little tidbits of things here and there.
Do you think acting is something that you feel full steam on, or it's like a side thing that's just kind of fun to do here and there? Or do you think it's something that this is my next career?
Well, I think everything is going to lead back to real estate. So, business, I love business. I love the fight game. If I really enjoy it, for sure, but we're going to have to see. I feel like more realistic is being a producer type of guy, and maybe on screen quite a bit, but more putting the whole thing together, because I feel like I have a knack for putting things together and eyeball for talent and so I like the business side of it. I do think there's a value to being an on-screen personality, but understanding how things work, about the distribution, about getting people attached, about coming up with a concept and finding ways to make it happen. That's kind of my specialty. So I think there's money to be made in the entertainment world, and so it's something that I'll definitely attack, but it'll be something to help me continue with the real estate thing also.
Because you had a reality show that actually had filmed quite a bit until there was a snag in that.
Right.
So do you think producing is that something you could actually do?
Yeah, I do think that being a producer on top of a bunch of other stuff is pretty realistic, and I've been working on some different projects. So it's something I'd like to do. I think, there's been talks of another TV show involving our team. I've got the Fight Stories, which is our cartoon animated series. It's on Fox Sports 1. I've got this movie coming, and then I've got some other projects I've been working on. There's a lot of stuff that I just like to do stuff that's fun and inventive and creative, and that's why I love fight. I love the fight game. That's why I want to be able to create my own schedule for the rest of my life. That's like my ultimate goal.
It's winning.
Yeah.
You guys are both from California, beach towns. Like when you first met, was it like kind of an instant friendship and connection? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I feel like, the guy at the last interview was like, how long have you guys known each other? I think like Northern California, and just California in general has a similar vibe, and we've got along pretty good. I hit it off with his buddies, Miles and Grapes the Cat.
Yeah. I introduced him to my friends and his friends. We all naturally. I always liked his style, and kind of met up in 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And
Cali.
Yeah.
The Cali bond grows, Hey, what can you say?
You were just at the Angels, I guess, was it Monday?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How was that obviously being a Cali kid too?
It was really fun, I was roommates with 3 guys in college that played baseball. I've never played baseball, but I've always, watched it. But I've been in my own world. I talked to my guys on my team about this because I have a lot of up-and-coming guys on our team that have to learn about the lifestyle. And committing yourself to something, like people ask me if I'm good at surfing. No, I'm not. And are you good at golfing? No, I'm not. I'm not good at anything that I haven't been solely focused on. I was good at football when I used to play football. When I was involved in school, I was good at that. When I focus on something, I get real involved. So it was fun to go and watch a sport that I was aware of but didn't really know the details. So I sat with our PR guy, Chris, who's been in that world for a long time, and he was filming me on all sorts of different stuff, so I got to learn the game a little bit more, even though I felt like I knew it already. So I enjoyed it. It was fun.
You were talking about some of the fighters coming up at your gym. Another impressive performance by Paige VanZant last weekend. She's 21 years old, and she's got a lot of pressure put on her. Do you have any insight on why someone her age is able to handle it with such poise?
I think probably the biggest thing, there's 2 things that really, really help out with her. She's instinctively a very, very positive person, just a happy demeanor, and takes things in stride. And the second thing is she's super tight with her family. Her mom and her dad are those are her best friends. She's with them all the time. When she's done with her fight, she goes and hangs out with her mom and her dad. There's something to be said about that. And so what we try to recreate on our team is a real healthy family environment. And on top of that, she's an athlete. Like I was talking about Luke. Luke's dad is a high-level athlete. His brother's a high-level athlete. And now we're starting to see guys like Luke, who have the genetics and the athleticism to play any sport, dedicate themselves to mixed martial arts. And I think she's one of those girls that, some of the best athletes in female sports are soccer players and cheerleaders and gymnasts, and she's that level of athlete, but just loves to fight. So being positive, having a great family system, and just not being afraid of hard work and a little bit of a mean streak is kind of the key for her. She soaks up information. Like you show her something, she can put it in her repertoire like that day.
Has she come to you for advice on the media tours and sponsorships and stuff like that? Or?
Oh man, that poor girl is just thrown into this whirlwind, and there was a thing where she had gone to, it was a couple weeks before her fight. It was her 21st birthday, and she went out, and I think she had half of a shot, just because it was a symbolic thing for her 21st birthday. And somebody put a Snapchat of it up, and then got out, and she was all bent out of shape, and this and that. And I go, she's had to talk to her and just said, Paige, look, part of the, first off, it's a symbolic shot on your 21st birthday. Second off, part of the success of our team with Team Alpha Male is that we have a lot of fun and we enjoy ourselves and don't take things too seriously. It's going to be fine, but she's a girl, she's a young girl, things get real, like at the moment are real intense. So I think it's part of being a girl and part of like, you know, it's like the pretty girl syndrome. Like, gonna have a lot of haters. I prepared her for that a long time ago. So yeah, she comes for advice, and she's a real gem. She's gonna be a champion.
She is one of the very, very few women there training at Team Alpha Male. Do you feel like you have to handle her with a different set of gloves than you do Danny Castillo or any of those kind of guys?
Not really. She's like one of the guys. She's like, and there are quite a few actually. We have a good group of girls that are there. You know, girls, there's always a little bit more drama, but Paige does a good job of staying out of the drama, and you know, she's friendly to everyone, so she's just like one of the guys though, except for way better looking. This is really good.
All right. See? Notice how California boys get their salads, right? Lots of salad, they like.
You talked all to Veronica Rockenhausler at all?
Yeah, just in Vegas. She had a rough go. She's done fighting.
Yeah.
She's like about to get married and just got a job, and I was like, damn.
She was having like headache issues and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. She was all been out of shape, and I think she's been the bigger, stronger girl her whole life, and it took a lot out of her. Like, oh.
You know, knock out multiple girls in 7 seconds in a row.
Yeah. She could have been good though, but she had like kind of big guy syndrome where she didn't only like to do the stuff she was good at and stuff. I'm like,
I'm sure she had a tough time making that weight. I was there in Kansas City when she passed out.
oh my god, that's crazy, huh?
Scary to think what's going to happen October 3rd after the IV situation.
Yeah.
You guys use IVs at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can imagine they say it takes like 9 hours to digest the fluids.
Yeah.
So you can imagine starving your brain, your body of hydration for that extra 9 hours.
Yeah, it's
And if not more, because it's, you know, it's like they got to eat. You know, like how much can you possibly drink and put down at that point? And so
Do you see there's going to be a shifting in all the weight classes, perhaps, with a lot of fighters?
if they actually don't use
if it
the
holds,
IV,
You think
there's a whole. I mean,
Sneak.
people
I
are
heard
cheating anyways.
rumors. I heard, yeah. People can. I heard rumor you can go to the hospital if you get an IV. I mean, I think
No, I think
the UFC should take the initiative to administer IVs post weigh-in immediately backstage, and bring everyone to optimal hydration, to an optimal performance, and that's what you want, right? I mean, don't you want you guys?
I mean, there's a lot at stake for these titles. I mean, money, notoriety, it could be life changing. A guy like Conor McGregor is bigger than everyone in the weight class.
Yeah.
That's a huge advantage when you're defending takedowns and trying to land a heavy punch and things like that. So he goes up to 155, and all of a sudden he's fighting Donald, who's longer and a good striker also, and has a bunch of submissions. Like, I mean, that's a big advantage being able to cut weight like that. So
Well, the rumor is this
Look how big
last
Dos
Saturday,
Anjos is.
Mir may have come in a little heavy, so they have more control. But some say maybe it was purposeful so that he had more control on the ground. to hold the
yeah,
ground.
right. I talked to his wife. She's like, our son's just like Mir. He's so lazy.
With the IV ban, push you back up to 45, you think?
If everyone else stays true to it, yeah. Because, oh, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna do it without the IV and see how I feel. But it might be good. I might have to run a lot more than usual. I'm gonna have to run every day, which isn't necessarily how I want to spend all my time training. But I don't know. I'll wait and see. But I would think that at 45s without an IV, Aldo goes up, McGregor goes up, bunch of other guys go up. Chad would be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chad's not huge for the weight class. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm so curious if that's going to stick.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously be a transition period when it first happened. I mean, how do they enforce that?
They said they can tell the plastic and some weird thing. I don't know.
Some kind of remnants of plastic or something like that.
I have no idea. It may be just BS. Who knows? I mean, we're going to find out because Aldo said he doesn't care what they say. He's going to use an IV. And I guarantee you Conor's going to use one.
Now we're talking about a 2-year suspension for using an IV. So, did I not hear that correctly? So it's the same penalty as the steroid use? Come the fuck on. Crazy.
Well, not necessarily the steroid use, but the drug use. We were asking Conor about that and like what happened with John Jones. He was saying that the testing needs to change a bit because up until a week before the fight, there's fighters who are doing illegal drugs up until that. What are your thoughts on?
Conor said this?
Well, Conor was just kind of commenting on John Jones and other fighters who can do it. He thinks it needs to be stricter testing.
I would love that. I mean, one advantage is going to let me stay in this game longer and be competitive is the fact that they're starting to do these drug testing because I've never done anything. I don't know. I always assumed that people weren't doing stuff because I wasn't doing stuff, but
He's talking about recreational drugs.
Yeah.
oh, recreational drugs. I don't do that either.
No.
No.
I mean, it's
He was commenting if you're not leading up to a fight, you can actually use marijuana or cocaine.
There's a lot-
And it's not against the rules.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And he just thought that it should be.
Yeah, because it's out of
He didn't think that, and he was like, oh shucks. You're not gonna be deafening us? Dang it. Oh. Yeah, right, bro.
given his energy output lately.
I can feel
I'm
just begging.
I'm just saying. I don't know. It's funny that he comments on that one.
Maybe he liked that. Forced discipline.
There's a lot of there's a lot of top people in the sport that smoke a lot of weed. No doubt. And you probably wouldn't want to, bite the hand that feeds you, per se. I don't like smoking weed anymore. I was a big pothead in high school. It doesn't work for me anymore.
I don't smoke weed.
And do you think it gives someone an unfair advantage?
No.
Or recovery?
I think they should be fine to do it if they want. I've got family members that
Doesn't help with anything.
do it to relax. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I guess what they're saying is that it's a pain inhibitor, maybe? So what?
Slows down your cognitive function, and you fucking can't. It's like
Yeah, I think they should do it.
it's not gonna help you. It's gonna hurt you more than it's gonna help you.
I remember Dwayne Ludwig said he used to watch tape once sober and once super high. He said in an interview where I told him like that was probably a bad idea to say that when he's trying to have affiliates and stuff like that. And I remember being around him when he was super high one time, and I think he thought he was saying something. He wasn't saying anything. He was like, and I'm like, dude, this guy, he thinks he's super high and that's gonna help him do anything. I mean, I think it's a false thing. So let everybody smoke.
Go for it, guys. Go for it. It's gonna help you with your jobs or what? I'll take a piss.
You were talking about that kind of 40-year fight gap where when you were in your 20s, you were fighting some of the guys in their 30s, and now you in your 30s are fighting guys in their teens and in their early 20s. Who were some of the guys that when you were in your 20s and coming up that you admired the sport and wanted to kind of model yourself after, and now who are you looking at that could be kind of up and coming next and then you see it again?
There's a lot of guys that I looked up to for different reasons. I loved, Chuck Liddell's quiet demeanor and the way he just took care of business. I loved what a gentleman Randy Couture was. I loved how Tito was like a self-promoter and so like over boisterous. I like the stuff that Tank Abbott, how real he was when he'd like take out his tooth and they'd ask him what he's gonna do next, and he's like, probably go get in another bar fight. And, like Don Fry, just trying to take anyone on at whatever their best thing was. Sakuraba, who's like the first guy to have a lot of fun in there and mess around. I remember him taking the clothes off of Royce Gracie when they're doing this no rules, no time limit, gi allowing match. Those are some of the guys that I looked up to. Nick Diaz and Carl Parisian, probably the two of the first guys to have like a super exciting grappling bout where it was like oohs and ahs and it was all grappling. And then some of the new guys that we're looking at guys like Anthony Pettis and guys like Cody Garbrandt and young guys like Luke that are the new athletes in there, and John Jones is like a new level of athlete, like coming from families that are playing other professional sports like football and basketball and things like that. So there's a lot of guys that, I see some of the guys. I've got a guy, Joseph Morales, on our team. His name's Bopo. He's been with me since he was 10 years old. Now he's 21, and he's 4-0 as a professional. And to see the poise and like the fluidity and just the like complete game that he has in the ring is really awesome. And I've helped raise him up since he was a little guy, and now he's one of our top prospects. So the new era is coming, and we're going to see it.
With MMA kind of gaining worldwide popularity, do you see some of those athletes that may have before gone to football or basketball now being able to come into the fight game and getting more talent in that?
100%. And I think what's going to continue to help that is money. It's an enticing thing to be on TV, etc. But when you start seeing, NFL and NBA and the MLB guys signing these massive contracts, that is enticing to people. They want that notoriety and the stature. So as that continues to grow, as the notoriety and the prize money and everything grows, I think you're going to see more and more people pushing their kids in that direction. You're going to see more and more people that are like looking up to that person that has, wearing the goofy suit or whatever it may be. I think, there's the progression of the sport needs to have money come along with it, and it's getting there. So happy to help lay that groundwork for the young teens that are going to be getting paid some real dough. Maybe on my team, maybe part of the management, maybe someone that I put in one of my movies. Who knows? But
somebody have a piece of.
Yeah. So the sport's growing, and I think we're going to see more and more athletes going to this. Because if you look at football, it's a simulated war. It's my team versus your team trying to go somewhere where the other team doesn't want you. Same with wrestling. Baseball is the same thing. It's all a simulated war. Like, there's different rules, but this is as real as it gets. This is the ultimate war. This is person-to-person combat, and it's like the oldest sport on the planet. Fighting for food or chicks or whatever it may be. That's how we got started, man. That's how the best genes got passed on.
Exactly. It's such a dynamic sport. There's so many different aspects to cover. So many different techniques. You have the stand-up realm, the wrestling realm, and the grappling realm. The super athletes aren't always going to be there at the top. You have to be a special athlete that can understand and implement all these strategies, not to mention the mental mindset that you have to have. That's why it's not dominated by super athletes. You have to be a thinking man, and you have to have the consciousness as a fighter. Not a lot of athletes have that. And so I don't think it'll ever be completely dominated by those super athletes. It's not going to gear into, football and basketball. It's a little more basic sport where those guys can thrive. This is different.
And do you have any special techniques to train yourself mentally?
I think some people are just born with it, really.
Yeah.
I was a born competitor, and I never thought I always thought I could win. And any time if I lost, I thought I could get him back. I would better myself, and I could always beat that next guy, no matter what happened in my life. And I always believed I would be the best at whatever I did. So I think that obviously growing up with and how you grow up. Life changes you in certain ways, but some people just have it.
Is any kind of update on Kane? Is he back training? How's he doing?
Yeah, he's training. He's healthy. He's I don't know why they pushed the fight back. They've been asking me about that a little bit this trip, so I could only imagine it's got to do with Fabricio Verdum, because I know Kane's ready to go, and I know Kane wants his belt back, and he has that mindset, the same mindset of he's the best guy, and he knows he kind of got robbed by the altitude. It was dumb to not prepare accordingly and to do the homework. But cardio was always the strongest asset, and he didn't really think it would play that much of a factor. Altitude affects everyone differently, obviously, and people just adapt to it naturally, and some people don't. It takes a lot longer. From what I understand, it's a 4 to 6 week acclimation process to get up in those it's like 7,800 feet up there. So my body was just shut down. I mean, just going out there and helping them try to train, it was amazing. I don't ever want to fight out there. I don't think I should learn Spanish, because if I do, I might get too friendly with the community. They might try to make me fight out there. Fuck that. So I think you're gonna see a whole different story. Next time around when you see Kane, he's the baddest man on the planet. He is the true champion. And I think he'll have his belt back very shortly. Whenever they can lock down that date and make that happen. So once Fabricio figures out his issues with the UFC or his injuries or whatever the hell he's doing, because that's the holdup I believe right now.
Do you think it's dangerous for the UFC to have fights in Mexico City? I mean, you're putting guys in a pretty dangerous environment.
It's tough. It's tough, definitely. I mean, of course, it's a big market, and I think there's other areas in Mexico where they can obviously go to, like they are now in Monterrey, which is sea level, I believe. So that's, I think that's better for some fighters. For a team like ours, to move, I mean, we have so many top guys, and we only have so many coaches. So for Kane to move down to Mexico City for 4 to 6 weeks, he's got to take a number of our coaches, and that takes away from our teammates. So that's so hard to keep a team united like ours, and it's gonna break apart everybody. And so it's not to our benefit. Very few guys can do that. Fabricio brought a whole team down there that was just based off him, and what did that do to his team around him? I hope to God none of the guys had fights within that vicinity, that time frame, because that I would be pissed. I'd say fuck you to my coaches, and I'd probably have to leave they were going to just neglect me because of their guy, Fabricio Verdum. So it's tough. It's tough for the bigger teams. I mean, I think only certain guys can do it, and to adapt to that. So I don't ever want to do it, and I don't wish it on any of my teammates.
If it wasn't a concern beforehand, is it now? Like when you get your fight dates, are you looking at where they are, if they're at altitude? I mean, just seeing the way that it affects Kane.
Yeah. I didn't realize it would be that long of a process to acclimate. So it's definitely more of a thought now. I always knew I wanted to avoid Denver. And then now Mexico City's in the realm now. It's like that kind of popped up, so it's like I know of that now. I knew it would be it'd be hard to breathe up there. I just didn't know how long it would take to acclimate. So it's definitely a big thought. If they were to try to make me fight in some area.
Was there a concern
How long
for
were
you
you
guys?
there in Mexico City?
I was there about a week and a half. Kane was there a little less than 2 weeks. So I came down to try to help him train for that week, and fuck, it was brutal. I was trying to get to a few rounds with him, and he chased me all over, and I couldn't breathe. And I was like, I had to
Were you
bring in a
concerned
couple
at
breaks.
all? Like when you got up there?
It definitely, I felt it. I don't know. It's different when you're fighting and you exerting the energy that Kane puts out rather than sparring, because when we're that close to the fight, he's healthy, and we're not going hard, but we're sparring, and it's there's a certain level of relaxation within that, so it's not give that the same energy output. And if you have that hard burst, one hard burst can take so much out of you, and then can only imagine how that be at altitude at that level.
Well, that's the thing. What kind of cardio shape Kane is in. When you got up there and you kind of felt how hard it was to breathe, or you kind of
you could see. I could see him breathing a little bit, right off the bat, of course. And I've never seen Kane like that ever in my life. I mean, I was yelling at him, and he was doing his thing, and 3.5 minutes in, you could see the effects it was having, and you're like, I literally went silent. I was cage side, yelling at him, and then I just saw his body start giving out, and he was doing things and he wanted to do it and his body wouldn't let him. And I just went silent and I just like started praying for a right hand to land because it was just like, fuck, I could see it happening. And I was just, it's sad, it's hard to watch. You know, a guy that I've grown up with and trained with my whole life and to watching him get robbed of his you know, his title and what he's deserving of by altitude.
Got a hard out here, gang.
Hard out.
Thank you.
Sorry guys, pleasure.
Thank you guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.